Being a woman in the bush, your jobs are endless. I have been a bobcat driver, to a truck driver, to a mum, a healthcare provider, a cook, a cleaner, a grader driver. Every day is different and you honestly never know what's going to be thrown at you that day. The sun rises, the sun sets. Living in the bush is one big adventure. I think that's part of the reason why I do love it out here.
Well, I grew up in the bush and did school of the air over a HF radio, which is quite challenging as a young person in those days, and the lack of social interaction. Some of the challenges we've faced living remotely, certainly access to services and communication.
There's multiple different issues that we've faced, but we've been trying to overcome step by step. Being health issues, being so distant from everything and everyone, not being just able to hop down to the supermarket to get a carton of milk that you've run out of. Medical issues where your child could be sick and you can't just run to the doctors around the corner. It is, a fair distance away.
The trust was established in 1983 by my grandfather, E.J. Connellan, and it was funded by the sale of Connellan Airways, and all the shareholders generously donated a large proportion of the funds into establishing the trust.
When the trust was established, it was set up in recognition of the challenges that people in Outback Australia faced. We have a variety of grants and scholarships available for people in Outback Australia that focus on education, health and wellbeing, and a little bit of innovation.
The challenges that our families and students face relate to access coming into town, sometimes with the roads. And in terms of education, it mainly is to do with the internet and connection. Over many years, the Trust has provided grants to our families for when they come into town for our school events. 4 times a year, we have what we call an in-school, when our students and families come in, and it's an amazing opportunity for the kids, for the teachers and for the families. So Connellan has supported them, providing grants that go towards meeting the costs of the accommodation. One of the ways that our students engage with their learning is through hard copy learning materials that we post out to our students. We are very fortunate to have access to very durable green canvas bags that were provided to this school by Connellan Airways Trust.
It's been very interesting. I've lived remotely most of my life, and the challenges have certainly changed. Early on, it was very much about travel and the tyranny of distance, and in the modern era, that's getting better. And a lot of the challenges now are around technology and interaction with the rest of the world.
One of the very first grants that were provided to a rural community was a tractor, believe it or not, for an agricultural show. And today we still support agricultural shows and small rural community shows.
The Alice Springs show was a grant recipient in 2022. That funding enabled us to be able to bring judges from interstate post-COVID to help bring a higher standard to our equestrian and cattle events here at the show. The benefits of having a show for our rural communities, it really brings everyone together. It showcases those people's skills out in the bush, especially when it comes to cattle handling, and that can be adults and children. So it's really good to see those younger kids coming up in our industry. And really everyone coming in and enjoying the show.
I think it's important for people living remotely to have access to the Trust because it's able to provide opportunities that are often not available to people in remote areas.
Recently, I was able to attend a first aid face-to-face course. This was really useful for me, as a week later, I did have to use those up-to-date skills that I was able to obtain. Pretty much had to save my son's life, and it was only because I was just recently had them done and it was in my head at the time. I did have to perform the whole first aid to the doctor's ABC on my son, who declined within minutes, really. It happened so quickly. I don't think if I wasn't up to date with everything, I wouldn't have known what to look for, the signs that I would have known to look for. It's just so grateful that I was able to do that not even a week before it all happened.
One of my favourite aspects working with the Trust is seeing the difference to people who actually are able to take on opportunities with our support, turning a no into a yes and actually being able to see the end result and how proud people are when they've completing some of their life goals.
What I love about Connellan Airways Trust is that we're working directly with families and people all across the outback in really geographically isolated places and to enhance their education and their well-being.
I'd just like to thank the Trust for being there to support our outback and rural communities. And I think it's so important in our communities to have those extra places that we can go to for support.
I myself and my family are extremely grateful for Connellan Airways Trust. They have been supporting bush families for so many years now, and if it wasn't for them, I potentially could have lost my son that day.
A huge congratulations to Connellan Airways Trust for reaching this milestone of 40 years, and a big thank you to the Trust for supporting our school, our students and our families, as well as obviously lots of other people who live in the outback.
It's really significant coming up to our 40-year milestone. I've been involved in the Trust for the last 8 years, and it's been fantastic to see the evolution the Trust has made towards the evolving challenges in this era, and we're very much looking forward to a legacy continuing for another 40 years.